Now for the second half of this exercise, you need to make sure you've finished up the building three-dimensional isometric drawing as well as the escape route plan, and also make sure you've downloaded the building safety folder, because inside of this folder is your information that we can go ahead and open up and see what we'll add to our report. For this building safety, it's going to have a main landing page and then 3 different subtitles, one for the exits, the alarms, and the extinguishers. So let's jump into our our InDesign document. We'll go down to the very bottom of our last page, and in my case that is page 5, but in your case, if you've already added another section, yours may be something slightly different. But I'm going to select page 5, and we want to add 4 more pages below it. So let's go up to Layout, down to Pages, and insert some new pages. In this case, we're going to add 4 pages after page 5, and we're going to use the B master and say OK to that. You can see that the B master looks exactly the same as far as the guidelines go, and we want it to have the similar look and feel as all of our other pages. So I'm going to use my selection tool and select all of my buttons, my header, and even any other information that's necessary. We'll go up to Edit and Copy. Let's go down to the first of our new pages. Then we'll go to Edit and Paste in Place. Now to put everything right in the same spot where it needs to be. Now since this one, we're not going to worry about the buttons for now, I'm going to select this and move it over, there we go, back to that particular spot as well. Before we begin, we also need to change out all of the appropriate information and place it where it needs to be. If we go to our building safety info, the title of this is going to be Building Safety. And if we look at our information page, we know that we need to have only 3 different little subcategory tabs. So returning back to here, I'm going to get rid of my first button, and I'm going to change the text for my 3 remaining buttons, but keep my home button the same. So let's select the emergency exits, copy it, go here, and paste it in. Same way with here, select it, copy it, paste it into there, and do the same for fire extinguishers. Command C to copy and paste it into this one. Now since these are different buttons, we want to make sure they go to the appropriate pages. In my case, this first page is not a button page, and so it's only going to be just a page by itself. The emergency exits is going to be on page, in this case, 7. The fire alarms is going to be on page 8, and then the extinguishers is going to be on the very last page of page 9. So let's go in and change those buttons while we're still thinking about it. So I'm going to choose my emergency exits, go up to my buttons and forms. It's already established as the correct thing. We don't even need to change the name of it, but we do need to change the page number. So I'm going to set that to be page 7. Choose fire alarms. That will be page 8. And then choose fire extinguishers. In my case, it will be page 9. Just remember, if you've already established some other sections or other pages, your page numbers may be slightly different. The final thing I'm going to change for all of this, it will be the color scheme for our titles. So this top one, instead of it being maybe a bright red, let's choose something like the darker color. And we'll set my home button to be the different color, the lighter one down there, even this one down at the bottom. Now that I've firmly established a different look and feel for this section, we can start adding in the appropriate imagery into our document. Now, for each of our building safety pages, we want them to have that 3-dimensional building as part of all of their designs. So to place it, let's go to File, down to Place, and locate your building PNG that we already saved. Choose Open, then click and drag to create its own text frame that fills up the necessary area and place it over in the right-hand side. Now once we place it here, we don't want to be moving it around too much. So while we've got this, let's go ahead and add the text for this first particular section. In this case, we'll highlight this, copy it. Now mine does not have a title, so we're only going to paste it into the text frame down here at the bottom. And then we'll do a little bit of cleanup to remove any of the unwanted or unnecessary parts to get it to flow nicely within this area. Let's bring it in -10. In our case, we want fire extinguishers and fire exits to be bold, fire alarms as well. Again, we'll select it and adjust our text so that it looks and flows really nicely. I won't labor that too much. Once we click on each of the buttons, we want it to go to the same page and to display the emergency exits, the fire alarms, or the fire extinguishers. Now that we've got this page set up, let's highlight everything on this page, go up to Edit and Copy, come back to this page, and go to Edit and Paste in Place. And this first one is going to be our emergency exits. So with emergency exits selected, click and drag that one out. And let's place the emergency exit information or image inside of this image or directly behind it. To do this, I'm going to click on outside of the area and move off to the side just for now. With nothing selected, let's go to File and Place and locate the escape route PNG. When we say Open, we'll click and drag to create its own individual picture box. Now here's the tricky part. We want to be able to place this so that it's the correct position and scale inside of our box. So I'm going to click and drag it over. Notice now that mine is a little bit too small. So I'm going to hold down my Shift and Command key as I click and drag and scale this up till it fits nicely within my particular area. Again, you may have to move this around and play around with it just a little bit, but I should have all of my arrows pointing to the end of the hall and also all of my round bits be inside of my floor plan area. The other thing I need to do is to send this behind everything. So let's go to Object, to Arrange, and let's send it backwards till it's below our floor plan area. This will make it a little bit easier. Now again, holding down Shift and Command and clicking on the edges, let's scale it up till everything fits nicely within your three-dimensional structure. You may have to move things around using your arrow keys to nudge it all into place, but once you get it, you should be able to see the floor plan as well as your escape route, and this looks really good. Now this is a good time to save what we have, so let's go to File and Save and continue on. Now we can animate our escape route. To do this, select your building picture and let's lock it down by going to Object and choose Lock. This way we don't accidentally select your building. Now we can click on our escape route picture, make sure it's selected, and go up to the Animation tab. With this selected, the preset animation we want to choose will be Fade In. This will give you a little preview of what it should look like. Make sure the duration and the play amount is set to 1, so it'll last for 1 second and only play once, and we'll keep the speed at the preset. Also, we want this to be triggered as soon as the page is loaded. So every time the page loads up, that'll work out. When you open up the properties, you can further animate it a little bit better. In this case, we're going to keep everything the same, but we want to have it hidden until it's animated. So in this case, it'll come on nice and fresh, and it won't be. It'll have a starting value of 0 opacity. If we want to test this animation, you can click on the little preview button at the very bottom of the animation panel. This will open up our EPUB preview. By default, it'll be nice and small, so we do need to make this a little bit larger by clicking on the edge and dragging it out. Let's drag it down as well. Now that it's larger, we can hit play again and get an idea of what it will look like once the page is loaded. Once we like what we got, we can close out our little preview. Let's back out and change up the text at the very bottom. For this one, this is the emergency exits. This doesn't need to have the title since the title is in the button itself, so we'll copy this jump back into our document and paste it down here. Again, we'll save this. Let's go to Object and unlock our document, or unlock our little picture. We'll copy everything from this page. So selecting all of it, go up to Edit and Copy. Let's go to the next page, select it, go to Edit, Paste in Place. And for this one, this will be for our fire alarms. So let's put Emergency Exits button back where it should be, and let's open up our Fire Alarms button. Then we can select just our little escape route. Again, to get this one, we may have to lock down our buildings. Select this one and delete it. Let's go back up to Object and unlock the building. And let's place the markers where all of our fire alarms will be.
To locate each of the fire alarms, have a look at your floor plan. All of the fire alarms are indicated by a green polygon. You'll need to recognize where each of these are on your three-dimensional map as well. So for instance, I've got one along this hallway, so it should be right here along my map. Additionally, I've got one at the bottom down here, so it's this part of the hallway along my map here. If we jump back into InDesign, let's create a little symbol to indicate where that polygon or where that fire alarm should be. I'm going to choose my polygon tool. With that tool selected, I'm going to load up the color green and draw it off and place it right there. Let's make a copy of that one over here as well. Holding down Option, Shift and drag, and place it right here. Now, as far as animating these go, we'll select this first polygon and go over to our Animation tab and set the preset animation to be Pulse. Pulse is found down at the very bottom. With Pulse selected, you can see it'll give it a little pulsing like it's a heartbeat. If we choose the preview, this will open up relatively small, so you may need to make this a little bit larger. And when we click play again, you can see it gives a little pulsing indication. However, we don't want it to just pulse once. We want it to repeat pulsing over and over again. So under the presets, keep the event on load page, but under play, set it to be loop. This means it'll play over and over again once it finishes and is done. Now when we preview this should give you a preview of it pulsing multiple times without stopping. Let's do the same thing for the other polygon. Select it, choose its preset to be pulse, and set the play times to be looping over and over again. Now the last thing we want them to do is to have them start at exactly the same time. If we were to preview this page by going to Window, Interactive, and choosing the EPUB Interactive Preview, if you look very closely on the load of the page, you'll see that one will start and then the other one will start. To get them to start at the same time, let's open up our Timing tab. On the Timing tab, you can see we've got two sets of polygons. This one will play first, and then this one will play. To get them to play at the same time, hold down Shift and select both of them, and then choose the link. This will play them both together at the exact same time. If we go to preview it again, Window, Interactive, EPUB Preview, let's see if we can make this a little bit larger. If not, that's okay. We'll hit play, and now you can see they're both playing at exactly the same time and starting at the same time. This is what we want. From here, let's go up to File and save it. Now let's do the animation for our fire extinguishers. Let's select everything from this page, including this little bit at the bottom. Go up to Edit and Copy. Go down to a very last page, select it, Edit, Paste in Place to put everything right where it needs to be. For this page, since we're not working on the fire alarms, we're going to be working on the fire extinguishers. We're going to push this one in, and let's pull this button out. To add the fire extinguishers, let's look back at our floor plan. All of the fire extinguishers are indicated by a red triangle, and you can see there's 3 of them on my layout. As with the fire alarms, we need to locate where they are on my 3-dimensional map, And notice that they're pointing directly where the extinguisher should be. So this one's pointing to the right, to the left, and this one is pointing down. We need to do the same thing for the arrows that we have for our extinguishers. Going back into our InDesign document, let's select the polygon tool, click once to open up the polygon options, and set the number of sides to be 3. And when you say OK, you get a triangle. As far as the formatting of this triangle, let it be a bright red and set the stroke to be none. Now I'm going to move this triangle to be the one that moves on the right hand side. So I'll place it right here and let's rotate it so that the top tip points towards the right. As far as animation goes, with it selected, make the preset be moving to the right. Notice that with the move to the right, you also have a green line that indicates the path that it will follow. For now, this line is a little bit longer than we need it to be. We only want it to move just a little bit, pointing right to the spot on the wall. So to change the amount that it's going to move, choose your white direct selection arrow, click once at the end of the line, you may have to carefully click on it, and then drag it in to be something closer like that. When you click on the preview, this will give you an idea of how far it'll move. You can see it's moving just a little bit. As with the other ones, the number of times we want it to play is to loop it over and over again. So set that play to loop, and then when it plays, it should play over and over from there. Now let's create the other ones. Choose your selection tool, hold down Option, drag this one to the bottom, and let's rotate our triangle to point downward. Now when you rotate it, it doesn't rotate the animation part as well. So you'll need to choose your white arrow direct selection tool, carefully click on the end of it, and move that one down to the bottom. Then let's choose our regular selection tool again. There we go. Hold down Option, make a copy of it, and let's rotate this one into place, moving to the left. Oops. Again, choose your direct selection tool, move this one to the left hand side, and then place this one where it should be. Finally, as with the other animations, we want all of these to play at the same time. So open up your timing panel, select all of the polygons, and then choose Link to link them together so that they play all at the same time once the page is loaded. If we want to test this, let's go up to go to Window, Interactive, and choose your Interactive EPUB. Then when we click play, you can see that they're all pulsing at the same time once the page is loaded. The final thing that we need to do for this exercise is to add the appropriate information. Let's go back to our information document, and for the fire alarms, let's copy that text, go back up to the fire alarm part, paste that into there. Same way for the fire extinguishers. Select that text, copy it, go to our fire extinguishers page, paste that text into there. And there's also a set of little icons that need to be added to your design as well. You can place these however you want into yours. For mine, let's take this emergency exit symbol. We'll go to our exit part. I'm going to click on it, drag it into my design. Click once to add it. Let's see if we can add it perhaps up to the top or some place that would be more appropriate for it to be easily seen. I'm going to place it up here. And I'm going to animate it so that it loads along with everything else on the page. So for this one, I'm going to have it fade in. We'll scale it down. And I'm going to let that one under the timing fade in first. So I'll take this one and drag it up to the top so that it fades in first before the other thing fades in. And I'll do the same for the other ones as well. So we'll copy this, go to the next page, paste it right in the same spot, and let's replace it with the other one. For this one, it's the fire alarms. Got mine on my desktop. And we'll go down to the final page, paste it, Let's replace this one with the fire extinguishers. And of course, the final thing we need to do is to create a button on our main page that goes to our building safety page. Remember, this is page number 6, so if we scroll all the way back to our first page, select that building safety button, go up to buttons. Let's choose this to be a regular button with the name of building safety. We'll add the action of going to a page and set that page number, in my case, to be page number 6. Remember, if your page numbers are different because you've already added a section for trends or fire prevention tips, you'll need to change up the appropriate page number for yours as well. Let's save our document and export it and do a full preview of it. Going up to File, down to Export. We'll keep the name of it the same, changing the format to be an EPUB fixed layout, and choose Save, and then saying OK for all the presets. We'll give it just a couple of seconds to render everything, and once it's done, it should open up my EPUB preview. Remember, if it asks you to sign into anything, just hit Cancel. Now I can click on Building Safety, pulls up my Building Safety page, and I should be able to click on all of my animations and have them add to there. I click Return Home, returns home to here. The last thing that you need to do to finish out the project is to add the parts for your trends and causes and your fire prevention tips. In addition to adding those sections, I want you to animate parts of your design as well. So you could return to your main part and add an animation that loads up all of the information for your different fire statistics, as well as the text that goes along with it. And you can also animate your trends and causes and any of the tips that you want to place for your own design.